The demand has increased, but the supply has decreased, which has been causing a huge backlog in these publishers being able to get manga, especially here in the United States. The printing lead time has increased, and what that means is that basically the time from conceiving that we're going to print this to the time that the book actually comes out has increased. It's taking longer for them to make the books themselves.
More than half of logistics managers surveyed by CNBC state that they don't expect to see supply chain issues return to normal until 2024 or after. The same issues that plagued 2021 and 2022 will continue into 2023. However, we have seen things improve at the end of 2022. I'm specifically looking at the reprint game, which was something that I talked about in my previous State of the Manga Industry video as a big problem that was happening right now. And I'm happy to say that all 5 manga publishers were able to get out some of the most popular series at the end of 2022.
And year 4 of the State of the Manga Industry starts right now. Hello all of my otaku friends, my name is Profitaku and welcome back to my channel for another manga video. As you saw from that intro video, over the last 3 years I have covered the state of the manga industry through these series of videos. Just me kind of looking into the industry, looking at the trends, seeing what the publishers have been saying, and putting my own personal opinions on it as well. And this year is no different. We have quite a lot to talk about with many interesting things to kind of ponder over as the shape of the manga industry, the MangaTube scope has changed so much in the last year. So with that being said, this video is going to be broken down into 5 different sections. I'll leave timestamps down in the description if you'd like to go into a specific section that intrigues your interest. But this first part is concerns from publishers going into 2024. When looking at the economy, inflation on average across all industries was a little bit above 3%. However, paper and ink have an increase in inflation due to the increased cost of fuel and energy. Along with this, we're seeing a longer growing season for trees due to climate change and the effects from that. However, 2024 is bringing an end to the paper shortage as suppliers are finally able to catch up to the demands of publishing companies. What does that translate to pricing? Well, the pricing of paper will start to ease off a bit. Whether this will directly translate to cheaper manga is yet to be seen. However, in terms of restocking manga, I definitely think we're going to get a huge positive on that front. But looking at the economy as a whole in comparison to manga sales, Kevin Hamrick from Viz Media had this to say: manga sales are trending higher than in 2020. If sales continue for 2023, this will be the 3rd largest year on record. And at the end of 2023, we did see a decrease in sales compared to 2022. However, this is the 3rd largest year on record. The manga industry itself continues to be much stronger than it was pre-pandemic. This next section is going to dive into the increased pricing or inflation of the price of manga volumes from publishers. As manga publishers across the board began to ponder whether to increase pricing and follow inflation, most infamously Viz Media's new pricing structure that we just heard about that started in January of 2024, which for example put a normal Shonen Jump volume from $9.99 to $11.99. Michael Gombos from Dark Horse Comics points something out that was quite interesting to me. While people are still hungry for manga, higher price points might be a worry. I feel like in 2024, we are at a point in the manga industry where publishers are starting to push that line. They're trying to test us consumers, see where is the line that consumers are going to turn their back on us and say, that's it, I'm done, I can't afford this, I need to walk away. Now, personally, I've already made the conscious decision to cut my spending down quite drastically, but I am curious to see how publishers continue to navigate this going into 2024. Are we going to see an overall price structure bump? Are we going to see publishers put their normal standard volumes at the same pricing as their oversized trim volumes? Are we going to see an increase in price but also an increase in quality? It just we have to see. We just have to see. But I feel like at this point, consumers are definitely having their backs pressed against the wall in terms of what they can afford. Moving into the general interest of manga, publishing companies are not concerned that the popularity of manga may be going down. In fact, they think the opposite, just due to the growth of the industry over the last 3 years, and also due to the excitement of new licenses and the social media traction that they're getting because of these new licenses. Michael Gombo says that the general interest in manga and manga growth is connected to, per quote, competition, with publishers competing for the same licenses and readership. Bobby Chase from Webtoon states that there's an expansion of titles in 2023, specifically for romance, and we're already seeing this in 2024, with Kodansha and Viz promoting new and classic shoujo and josei series in their catalog. Social media is continuing to play a large part in consumer interest in 2024, most evidently from the Shoujo Beat tweet a few months back stating which manga would you like to be reprinted, and subsequently just a few weeks ago, Viz Media promoting that they are reprinting Red River in 3-in-1 omnibuses. It will be interesting to see how publishers continue to use social media to get traction on licensing and also general population interest, but one thing's for certain, they're definitely listening with their ears open, and they are intrigued to see what the consumer wants, definitely since the growth of the manga industry slowed down in 2023 with the sales. This fourth part was probably the most interesting thing that I researched, and one that definitely intrigued me as a manga consumer, and that is consolidation. So this idea of consolidation was brought up both by Ed Chavez from Dempa Books and Rob Salkovitz in their article What's Ahead for the Comic Business in 2024. Both state that there may be some movement amongst publishers at various levels as, per quote, small and mid-sized players start to realize they are better off hanging together than hanging separately. This was quite interesting to me, as publishers have stated that competition and licensing traction were their big things on their mind going into 2024. And as we see these publishing companies fight for these licenses and fight for the same readership audience across the board, are we maybe saying that there's too many fish in the pond? Could this be the last year that we see a vast amount of different manga publishing companies and we start to funnel everything and consolidate resources into just several or maybe a few major companies for publishing manga? In my opinion, I am okay with this as long as the product doesn't suffer. However, historically, competition has always benefited the consumer. I would be really curious to see if two major players in 2024 put their resources together to make one ultimate manga publishing company. I mean, could you imagine Viz Media and Kodansha coming together? I mean, that would just be absolutely insane. But hey, a consolidation of resources may mean a couple things. It may mean higher quality manga, better licensing, better print release times, but it also could mean higher prices due to a monopoly. I mean, we just don't know what that could entail. There are pros and cons for this. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was digital manga streaming. In this last year alone, we have seen a revitalization of the Viz Manga app, as well as the introduction of the new K Manga app, which has brought a new wave of casual consumers into the manga realm. I find this beneficial for 3 reasons. 1, it allows the casual consumer to get their foot in the door in reading manga at a fraction of the price as it would be to start a physical manga collection. 2, the hope of these apps is to promote legal and cheap ways to read manga and support their favorite authors instead of turning to manga piracy. Andy Nakatani and Carl Hayes from Viz states all the more so because users can trust an official platform where they know that the mangaka will get proper recognition for their work, and scanlation teams that scan these manga into like manga decks, for example, are not going to get those benefits. And number 3, this allows companies to track and gauge interest on the most popular series on the app for maybe a future potential physical release. And this would just be great for both the consumer and the publishing company, because as a consumer, we can ingest these series without paying ridiculous out-of-print scalper prices, with the hope that us reading it on the app will make these publishers confident enough to re-release it in a physical format, and they get their money in return for us buying the physicals. I wouldn't be surprised in the next 2 years to see Yen Press and 7C start their own digital manga streaming apps and do the same exact thing as Viz and Kodansha and gauge the interest of these titles. Along with helping driving viewership up and putting a spotlight on their company, I see this as a great alternative to buying digital copies of manga, as I know myself and many other physical manga collectors don't want to spend the actual money to buy a digital copy just because we don't actually own the rights to it unless we have a PDF version of it. And for 9 times out of the 10, that is not the case. We are not getting a PDF copy of the digital copy that we buy. We have to read it on the website that we purchased it at, which is why I think these streaming services are a great way to ingest manga, and hopefully that continues to expand in 2024. But to conclude, when looking at manga in 2024 compared to like 2021 and 2022, when everybody was talking about it, can you say that the general interest of manga is going down in the excitement? Yeah, you could. Are we seeing people sell their collections and manga tubers leaving the platform left and right to pursue other avenues in their life as the world starts to open up? Of course we are. But suffice to say, the manga industry is strong. Licensing is the name of the game in 2024, and I am personally excited to see what happens in this new year. I really feel like 2024 is going to be much better than 2023 all the way around. As always, if you enjoy the content of my videos, make sure you hit that like button, tap the subscribe button, hit that notification bell so that you know when more of my videos come out, and I will see you in the next one. Take care now. Bye-bye.